Hello, everyone. Welcome to our TES Reading Club session on the way of the world. Today, we are reading the last scene, the last act, act number 5. As all of you know, we have been reading in the past few weeks the previous scenes of The Way of the World by William Congreve. And this is a very important play that is prescribed in many universities, and it changed history in many ways. Restoration comedy was a very immoral, licentious form of drama, which was not even considered literature, and people like the Puritans attacked it. However, after the attack of Jeremy Collier, William Congreve wrote The Way of the World, which is very chaste and very literally higher class, higher standard than his former plays. So this actually brought restoration drama, restoration comedy into the forefront of literature. Today, we have given a lot of historical and cultural importance to this play. We talk about The Way of the World as a very important historical document of its time. And that is why we study it in universities and we read it with our friends in TES Reading Club. TES Reading Club is an initiative of a lot of various students and scholars and teachers, literature enthusiasts from all over India. They are not part of any group or anything except for TES Reading Club. And this is completely organized by the Reading Club members to read every Sunday at this time, various literary works. This experience of reading together is highly enriching, and it is amazing to listen to how they have benefited from this experience. Now I just hand over the session to the Reading Club members. You can speak now.
Act 5, Scene 1. Scene continues. Lady Wishboat and Foible.
Out of my house, out of my house, thou viper, thou serpent that I have fostered, thou bosom traitoress that I raised from nothing. Be gone, be gone, be gone. Go, go, that I took from washing of old gauze and weaving of dead hair, with a bleak blue nose over a chafing dish of starved embers, and dining behind a terror's rag in a shop no bigger than a bird cage. Go, go, starve again. Do.
Dear Madame, I'll beg pardon on my knees.
Away, out, out. Go set up for yourself again. Do, drive a trade. Do, with your 3 pennyworth of small ware, flaunting upon a packed thread under a brandy seller's bulk, or against a dead wall by a ballad monger. Go, hang out an old Frisner gorget with a yard of yellow colbertin again. Do, and old knocked mask, 2 rows of pins and a child's fiddle, a glass necklace with beads broken, and a quilted nightcap with 1 ear. Go, go, drive a trade. These were your commodities, you treacherous trull. This was the merchandise you dealt in when I took you into my house, placed you next myself, and made you governant of my whole family. You have forgot this, have you? Now you have feathered your nest.
No, dear Madame, do but hear me. Have but a moment's patience. I'll confess all. Mr. Mirabell seduced me. I am not the first that he has wheedled with his dissembling tongue. Your ladyship's own wisdom has been deluded by him. Then how should I, a poor ignorant, defend myself? Oh, madam, if you knew but what he promised me, and how he assured me your ladyship should come to no damage, or else the wealth of the Indies should not have bribed me to conspire against so good, so sweet, so kind a lady as you have been to me.
No damage? What? To betray me, to marry me to a caste serving man, to make me a receptacle and hospital for a decayed pimp? No damage? O thou frontless imprudence, more than a big bellied actress?
Pray, but do hear me, madam. He could not marry your ladyship, madam. No, no, indeed. His marriage was to have been void in law, for he was married to me first to secure your ladyship. He could not have bettered your ladyship, for if he consummated with your ladyship, he must have run the risk of the law and been put upon his clergy. Yes, indeed, I inquired of the law in this that case before I would meddle or make.
What? Then I have been your property, have I? I have been convenient to you, it seems, while you were catering for Mirabell. I have been a broker for you. What? Have you made a passive bawd of me? This exceeds all precedent. I am brought to fine uses. To become a botcher of second-hand marriages between Abigails and Andrews? I'll couple you. Yes, I'll baste you together, you and your philander. I'll Duke's place you, as I'm a person. Your turtle is in custody already. You shall go in the same cage, if there be constable or warrant in the parish.
Oh, that ever I was born. Oh, that I was ever married. A bride? I shall be a bride. Well, bride. Oh,
Scene 2. Mrs. Fennell and Foible.
Oh, Foible, what's the matter?
oh, madam, my lady's gone for a constable. I shall be had to justice and put to Bridewell to beat him. Poor Whitwell's gone to prison already.
Have a good heart, Foible. Mirabell's gone to give security for him. This is all Marur's and my husband's doing.
Yes, yes, I know it, madam. She was in my lady's closet and overheard all that you said to me before dinner. She sent the letter to my lady, and that missing effect, Mr. Fennell led this plot to arrest Whitwell when he pretended to go for the papers. And in the meantime, Mrs. Marwood declared all to my lady.
Was there no mention made of me in the letter? My mother does not suspect my being in the Confederacy. I fancy Marwood has not told her, though she has told my husband.
Yes, madam, but my lady did not see that part. We stifled the letter before she read so far. Has this mischievous devil told Mr. Fennell of your ladyship then?
Aye, all's out. My affair with Mirabell, everything discovered. This is the last day of our living together. That's my comfort.
Indeed, madam, and so it's a comfort. If you knew all, he has been even with your ladyship, which I would have told you long enough since. But I love to keep peace and quietness, but my goodwill. I had rather bring friends together than set them at distance. But Mrs. Marwood and he are nearer related than ever their parents thought for.
Says thou so, Foible? Canst thou prove this?
I can take my oath of it, madam. So can Mrs. Mincing. We have had many a fair word from Madam Marwood to conceal something that passed in our chamber one evening when you were at Hyde Park and we were thought to have gone a walking, but we went up unawares, though we were sworn in secrecy too. Madam Marwood took a book and swore us upon it, but a book of poems. So long as it was not a Bible oath, we may break it with a safe conscience.
This discovery is the most opportune thing I could wish. Now, mincing.
Scene 3. To them mincing.
My lady would speak with Mrs. Foible. Ma'am, Mr. Marable is with her. He has set your spouse at liberty, Mrs. Foible, and would have you hide yourself in my lady's closet till my old lady's anger is abated. Oh, my old lady is in perilous passion at something Mr. Fennell has said. He swears, and my old lady cries. There is a fearful hurricane, I vow. He says, ma'am, how that he will have my lady's fortune made over to him, or he will be divorced.
Does your lady or Mirabel know that?
Yes, ma'am, they have sent me to see if Sir Wilful is sober and to bring him to them. My lady is resolved to have him. I think rather than lose such a vast sum as £6,000. Oh, come, Mrs. Wyble, I hear my old lady.
Foible, you must tell Mincing that she must prepare to vote when I call her.
Yes, yes, madam.
Oh, yes, ma'am, I will vouch anything for your ladyship's service, be what it will.
Scene 4. Mrs. Fennell, Lady Wishboat, and Mrs. Marur.
Oh, my dear friend, how can I enumerate the benefits that I have received from your goodness? To you, I owe the timely discovery of the false vows of Mirabel. To you, I owe the detection of the impostor, Sir Roland. And now you have become an intercessor with my son in law to save the honor of my house and compound for the frailties of my daughter. Well, friend, you are enough to reconcile me to the bad world, or else I would retire to deserts and solitudes and feed harmless sheep by groves and purling streams. Dear Marwood, let us leave the world and retire by ourselves and be shepherdesses.
Let us first dispatch the affair in hand, madam. We shall have leisure to think of retirement afterward. Here is one who is concerned in the treaty.
Oh, daughter, daughter, is it possible thou shouldest be my child, bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, and as I may say, another me, and yet transgress the most minute particle of severe virtue? Is it possible you should lean aside to iniquity who have been cast in the direct mold of virtue? I have not only been a mold, but a pattern for you, and a model for you after you were brought into the world.
I don't understand your ladyship.
Not understand? Why? Have you not been not? Have you not been sophisticated? Not understand? Here I am ruined to compound for your caprices and your cuckoldums. I must pawn my plate and my jewels and ruin my niece, and all little enough.
I am wronged and abused, and so are you. It is a false accusation, as false as hell, as false as your friend there, I, or your friend's friend, my false husband.
My friend, Mrs. Fennell? Your husband, my friend? What do you mean?
I know what I mean, madam, and so do you, and so shall the world at a time convenient.
I am sorry to see you so passionate, madam. More temper would look like more innocence. But I have done. I am sorry my zeal to serve your ladyship and family should admit of misconstruction or make me liable to offense. You will pardon me, madam, if I meddle no more with an affair in which I am not personally concerned.
Oh, dear friend, I am so ashamed you should meet with such returns. You ought to ask for pardon on your knees, ungrateful creature. She deserves more from you than all your life can accomplish. Oh, don't leave me destitute in this perplexity. No, stick to me, my good genius.
I tell you, madam, you are abused. Stick to you? I, like a leech, to suck your best blood. She will drop off when she is full, madam. You shan't pawn her bodkin, nor part with the brass counter in composition for me. I defy them all. Let them prove their aspersions. I know my own innocence and dare stand a trial.
Scene 5. Lady Wishboat and Mrs. Marur.
Why? If she should be innocent, if she should be wronged after all, huh? I don't know what to think. And I promise you, her education has been unexceptionable. I may say it, for I chiefly made it my own care to initiate a very infancy in the rudiments of virtue, and to impress upon her tender years a young odium and aversion to the very sight of men. I, friend, she would have shrieked if she had but seen a man till she was in her teens. As I'm a person, it is true, she was never suffered to play with a male child, to button coats. Nay, her very babies were of feminine gender. Oh, she never looked a man in the face but her own father or chaplain, and him we made a shift to put upon her for a woman, by the help of his long garments, his sleek face, till she was going in her 15.
Not much. She should be deceived so long.
I warrant you, or she would never have borne to have been catechised by him, and have heard his long lectures against singing and dancing and such debaucheries, and going to filthy plays and profane music meetings, hear the lewd treble squeak nothing but bawdy, and the basses roll blasphemy. Oh, she would have swooned at the sight or name of an obscene playbook. And can I think after all this that my daughter can be not? What a whore! I think, after all, that excommunication to set a foot within the door of a playhouse. Oh, dear friend, I can't believe it. No, no. As she says it, let him prove it. Let him prove it.
Prove it, madam. What? And have your name prostituted in a public court? Yours and your daughter's reputation worried at the bar by a pack of boarding lawyers? To be ushered in with an oh yes of scandal? And have your case opened by an old fumbling lecher in a quick of like a man midwife, to bring your daughter's infamy to light, to be a theme for legal punsters and quibblers by the statute, and become a jest against a rule of court, where there is no precedent for a jest in any record, not even in Doomsday's book, to discompose the gravity of the bench and provoke naughty interrogatories in a more naughty law Latin, while the good judge, tickled with the proceeding, simpers under his grey beard and fidgets off, and on his cushion as if he had swallowed cantharides, or stayed upon cowage.
Oh, 'tis very hard.
And then to have my young revelers of the temple take notes like prentices at a conventicle, and after talk it over again in commons or before drawers in an eating house.
Worse and worse.
Nay, this is nothing. If it would end here, it were well. But it must after this be consigned by the shorthand writers to the public press, and from thence be transferred to the hands, nay, into the throats and lungs of hawkers, with voices more licentious than the loud flounder's man. And this you must hear till you are stunned. Nay, you must hear nothing else for some days.
Oh, 'tis insupportable. No, no, dear friend, make it up. Make it up. I'll compound. I'll give up all, myself and my all, my niece and her all, anything, everything for composition.
Nay, madam, I advise nothing. I only lay before you as a friend the inconveniences which perhaps you have overseen. Here comes Mr. Fennell. If he will be satisfied to huddle up all in silence, I shall be glad. You must think I would rather congratulate than condole with you.
Scene 6. Fennell, Lady Wishboat and Mrs. Marur.
I do not doubt it, dear Marwood. No, no, I do not doubt it.
Well, madam, I have suffered myself to be overcome by the importunity of this lady, your friend, and am content you shall enjoy your own proper state during life, on condition you oblige yourself never to marry, under such penalty as I think convenient.
Never to marry?
No more, Sir Rollins. The next imposture may not be so timely detected.
That condition, I dare answer, my lady will consent to, without difficulty. She has already but too much experienced the perfidiousness of men. Besides, madam, when we retire to our pastoral solitude, we shall bid adieu to all other thoughts.
Aye, that's true. but in case of necessity, as of health or some such emergency?
Oh, if you are prescribed marriage, you shall be considered. I will only reserve to myself the power to choose for you. If your physique be wholesome, it matters not who is your apothecary. Next, my wife shall settle on me the remainder of her fortune, not made over already, and for her maintenance, depend entirely on my discretion.
This is most inhumanly savage, exceeding all the barbarity of a Muscovite husband.
I learned it from His Tsarist Majesty's retinue in a winter evening's conference over brandy and pepper, amongst other secrets of matrimony and policy, as they are at present practiced in the northern hemisphere. But this must be agreed unto, and that positively. Lastly, I will be endowed in right of my wife with that 6,000 pounds, which is the moiety of Mrs. Millamant's fortune in your possession, and which she has forfeited, as will appear by the last will and testament of your deceased husband, Sir Jonathan Wishboat, by her disobedience in contracting herself against your consent or knowledge, and by refusing the offered match with Sir Wilful Whitwood, which you, like a careful aunt, had offered for her.
My nephew was non-compos and could not make his addresses.
I come to make demands. I'll hear no objections.
You will grant me time to consider?
Yes, while the instrument is drawing, to which you must set your hand, till more sufficient deeds can be perfected, which I will take care shall be done with all possible speed. In the meanwhile, I will go for the said instrument, and till my return, you may balance this matter in your own discretion.
Scene 7. Lady Wishboat and Mrs. Marur.
This insolence is beyond all precedent, all parallel. Must I be subject to this merciless villain?
'Tis severe indeed, madam, that you should smart for your daughter's wantonness.
It was against my consent that she married this barbarian, but she would have him, though her ears were not out. Ah, her first husband, my son Languish, would have not carried it thus. Well, it was my choice. This is hers. She is smashed now with a witness. I shall be mad, dear friend. Is there no comfort for me? Must I live to be confiscated at this rebel rate? Here come 2 more of my Egyptian plagues too.
Scene 8. To them, Mrs. Millamant and Sir Wilful.
Aunt, your servant.
Out, caterpillar. Call not me aunt. I know thee not.
I confess I have been a little in disguise, as they say. Shot, and I'm sorry for it. What would you have? I hope I committed no offense, aunt. And if I did, I'm willing to make satisfaction. And what can a man say fairer? If I have broke anything, I'll pay for it, and it cost £1. And so let that content for what's past, and make no more words. For what's to come to pleasure you, I'm willing to marry my cousin. So pray, let's all be friends. She and I are agreed upon the matter before a witness.
How's this, dear niece? Have I any comfort? Can this be true?
I am content to be a sacrifice to your repose, madam, and to convince you that I had no hand in the plot, as you were misinformed. I have laid my commands on Mirabel to come in person and be a witness that I give my hands to this flower of knighthood, and for the contract that passed between Mirabel and me, I have obliged him to make a resignation of it in your ladyship's presence. He is without and waits your leave for admittance.
Well, I'll swear I am something revived at this testimony of your obedience, but I cannot admit that traitor. I fear I cannot fortify myself to support his appearance. He's as terrible to me as a gorgon. If I see him, I swear, I shall turn to stone, petrify incessantly.
If you disoblige him, he may resent your refusal and insist upon the contract still, and then it will be the last time he will be offensive to you.
Are you sure it will be the last time? If I was sure of that, shall I never see him again?
Sir Wilful, you and he are to travel together, are you not?
Sure, the gentleman's a civil gentleman, aunt. Let him come in. Why, Why? We are sworn brothers and fellow travelers. We are to be Pylades and Orestes, he and I. He is to be my interpreter in foreign parts. He has been overseas once already, and with proviso that I marry my cousin, will cross them once again, only to bear me company. Sure, I'll call him in. And I said on once, he shall come in, and see who will hinder him.
Goes to the door and hems.
This is precious fooling. If it would pass, that I'll know the bottom of it.
Oh dear, Marwood, you're not going?
Not far, madam. I'll return immediately.
Scene 9. Lady Wishboat, Mrs. Millamant, Sir Wilful, and Mirabell.
Look up, man. I stand by you. Smud, and she do frown. She can't kill you. Besides, harkee, she dare not frown desperately because her face is none of her own. Sure, and she should. Her forehead would wrinkle like the coat of cream cheese. But mum, for that fellow traveler,
if a deep sense of the many injuries I have offered to so good a lady, with a sincere remorse and a hearty contrition, can but obtain the least glance of comparison, I am too happy. Ah, madam, there was a time, but let it be forgotten. I confess I have deservedly forfeited the high place I once held of sighing at your feet. Nay, kill me not by turning from me in disdain. I come not to plead for favor, nay, not for pardon. I am a suppliant only for pity. I am going where I never shall behold you more.
how, fellow traveler? You shall go by yourself then.
Let me be pitied first and afterwards forgotten. I ask no more.
By a lady, a very reasonable request and will cost you nothing, Aunt. Come, forgive and forget, Aunt. Why? You must, and you are a Christian.
Consider, madam, in reality, you could not receive much prejudice. It was an innocent device, though I confess it had a face of guiltiness. It was at most an artifice which love contrived. Errors which love produces have ever been accounted venial. At least, think it is punishment enough that I have lost what in my heart I hold most dear, that to your cruel indignation I have offered up this beauty, and with her my peace and quiet, nay, all my hopes of future comfort.
And it does not move me. Would I may never be owed a quorum, and it were not as good a deed as to drink, to give her to him again. I might never take shipping, and if you don't forgive quickly, I shall melt. I can tell you that. My contract went no farther than a little mouth glue, and that's hardly dry. One doleful shy move from my fellow traveler, and it's dissolved.
Well, nephew, upon your account. Ah, he has a false insinuating tongue. Well, sir, I will stifle my just resentment at my nephew's request. I will endeavor what I can to forget, but on proviso that you resign the contract with my niece immediately.
It is in writing and with papers of concern, but I have sent my servant for it and will deliver it to you with all acknowledgments for your transcendent goodness.
Oh, he has witchcraft in his eyes and tongue. When I did not see him, I could have bribed a villain to his assassination. But his appearance rakes the embers which have so long lain smothered in my breast.
Aside. Scene 10. To them, Fennell and Mrs. Marur.
Your date of deliberation, madam, just expired. Here is the instrument. Are you prepared to sign?
If I were prepared, I am not empowered. My niece exerts a lawful claim, having matched herself by my directions to Sir Wilful.
That sham is too gross to pass on me, though it is imposed on you, madam.
So, I have given my consent.
sir, I have resigned my pretensions.
And so I assert my right and will maintain it in defense of you, sir, and of your instrument. Sharp, and you talk of an instrument, sir? I have an old fox by my thigh shall hack your instrument of ram vellum to shirt, sir. It shall not be sufficient for a mitimus or a tailor's measure. Therefore, withdraw your instrument, sir, or by a lady I shall draw mine.
Hold, nephew, hold.
Good Sir Wilful, respite your valor.
Indeed. Are you provided of your guard with your single beefeater there? But I am prepared for you and insist upon my first proposal. You shall submit your own estate to my management and absolutely make over my wives to my sole use, as pursuant to the purport and tenor of this other covenant. I suppose, madam, your consent is not requisite in this case, nor Mr. Mirabell, your resignation, nor Sir Wilful, your right. You may draw your fox, if you please, sir, and make a bag out of flourish somewhere else, for here it will not avail. This, my lady Wishboat, must be subscribed, or your darling daughters turned adrift, like a leaky hull to sink or swim, at sea and the current of this lute town can agree.
Is there no means, no remedy to stop my ruin? Ungrateful wretch, dost thou not owe thy being, thy subsistence to my daughter's fortune?
I'll answer you when I have the rest of it in my possession.
But that you would not accept for a remedy from my hands? I own I have not deserved you should owe any obligation to me, or else perhaps I could devise.
Oh, what? What? To save me and my child from ruin, from want, I'll forgive all that's past. Nay, I'll consent to anything to come, to be delivered from this tyranny.
Aye, madam, but that is too late. My reward is intercepted. You have disposed of her who only could have made me a compensation for all my services. But be it as it may, I am resolved. I'll serve you. You shall not be wrong in this savage manner.
How, dear Mr. Mirabell, can you be so generous at last? But it is not possible. Hark, I'll break my nephew's match. You shall have my niece yet, and all her fortune, if you can save me but from this imminent danger.
Will you? I take you at your word. I ask no more. I must have leave of 2 criminals to appear.
Aye, anybody.
Foible is one and a penitent.
Scene 11. To them, Mrs. Fennell, Foible, and Mincing.
Oh, my shame.
Mirabell and Lady go to Mrs. Fennell and Foible.
These corrupt things are brought hither to expose me.
To Fennell.
If it must all come out, why, let them know it. 'Tis but the way of the world. That shall not urge me to relinquish or abate one tittle of my tongues. No, I will insist the more.
Yes, indeed, madam. I'll take my Bible oath of it.
And so will I, ma'am.
Oh, Marwood, art thou false? My friend deceived me? Hast thou been of wicked compliance with that profligate man?
Have you so much ingratitude and injustice to give credit to your friend to the aspersions of 2 such mercenary trolls?
Mercenary, ma'am, I scorn your words. It is true we found you and Mrs. Fennell in the Blue Garret. By the same token, you swore us to secrecy upon Messalina's poem. Mercenary? No, if we would have been mercenary, we should have held our tongues. You would have bribed us sufficiently.
Crow, you are an insignificant thing. Well, what are you the better for this? Is this Mr. Mirabell's expedient? I'll be put off no longer. You think that was your wife, shall smart for this. I'll not leave thee wherewithal to hide thy shame. Your body shall be naked as your reputation.
I despise you and defy your malice. You have aspered me wrongfully. I have proved your falsehood. Go, you and your treacherous. I will not name it, but starve together, perish.
Not while you are worth a groat. Indeed, my dear. Madam, I'll be fooled no longer.
Ah, Mr. Mirabel, there's a small comfort, the detection of this affair.
Oh, in good time. Your leave for the other offender and penitent to appear, madam.
Scene 12. To them, Whitwell with a box of writings.
Oh, Sir Roland? Well, rascal?
What your ladyship pleases. I have brought the black box at last, madam.
Give it me, madam. You remember your promise?
Aye, dear sir.
Where are the gentlemen?
At hand, sir, rubbing their eyes, just risen from sleep.
Death, what is this to me? I'll not wait your private concerns.
Scene 13. To them, Petulant and Whitwood.
How now? What's the matter? Whose hands out?
Heyday, what are you all got together? Like prayers at the end of the last act?
You may remember, gentlemen, I once requested your hands as witness to a certain parchment.
I do my hand, I remember. Petulant set his mark.
You wrong him. His name is fairly written, as shall appear. You do not remember, gentlemen, anything of what that parchment contained?
Undoing the box.
No.
Not I. I read nothing.
Mr. Fennell, it is now time. Mr. Fennell, it is now time that you should know that your lady, while she was at her own disposal, and before you had by your insinuations wheeled her out of a pretended settlement of the greatest part of her fortune.
Sir, pretended.
Yes, sir, I say that this lady, while a widow, having, it seems, received some cautions respecting your inconstancy and tyranny of temper, which, from her own partial opinion and fondness of you, she could never have suspected, she did, I say, by the wholesome advice of friends and of sages learned in the laws of this land, delivered the same as her act and deed to me in trust, and to the users within mentioned. You may read, if you please.
Holding out the parchment.
Though perhaps what is written on the back may serve your occasions.
Very likely, sir. What's here? Damnation.
Reads.
A deed of conveyance of the whole estate real of Arabella language, widow, in trust to Edward Mirabel. Confusion.
Even so, sir, 'tis the way of the world, sir, of the widows of the world. I suppose this deed may bear an elder date than what you have obtained from your lady.
Perfidious fiend, then thus I'll be revenged.
Offers to run at Mrs. Fennell.
Hold, sir. Now you may make your bear garden flourish some.
Mirabel, you shall hear of this, sir. Be sure you shall. Let me pass off. Mirabel, you shall hear of this, sir. Be sure you shall. Let me pass off.
Madam, you seems to stifle your resentment. You had better give it vent.
Yes, it shall have went, and to your confusion, or I'll perish in the attempt.
Scene the last. Lady Wishboat, Mrs. Millamant, Mirabel, Mrs. Fennell, Sir Wilful, Petulant, Whitwood, Foible, Mincing, and Whitwell.
O daughter, daughter, 'tis plain thou hast inherited thy mother's prudence.
Thank Mr. Mirabel. a cautious friend to whose advice all is owing.
Well, Mr. Mirabel, you have kept your promise, and I must perform mine. First, I pardon for your sake Sir Roland there and foible. The next thing is to break the matter to my nephew, and how to do that?
For that, madam, give yourself no trouble. Let me have your consent. Sir Wilful is my friend. He has had compassion upon lovers and generously engaged a volunteer in this action for our service and now designs to prosecute his travels.
Shut, aunt. I have no mind to marry. My cousin's a fine lady and the gentleman loves her and she loves him, and they deserve one another. My resolution is to see foreign parts. I have set on, and when I'm set on, I must do it. And if these two gentlemen would travel too, I think they may be spared.
For my part, I say little. I think things are best off or on.
I get. I understand nothing of the matter. I'm in a maze yet, like a dog in a dancing school.
Well, sir, take her, and with her all the joy I can give you.
Why does not the man take me? Would you have me give myself to you over again?
Aye, and over again.
Kisses her hand.
I would have you as often as possibly I can. Well, heaven grant I love you not too well. That's all my fear.
Shut, you'll have enough time to toy after you're married. Or if you will toy now, let's have a dance in the meantime, that we who are not lovers may have some other employment besides looking on.
With all my heart, dear Sir Wilful. What shall we do for music?
Oh, sir, some that were provided for Sir Roland's entertainment are yet within all.
A dance.
As I'm a person, I can hold out no longer. I have wasted my spirits so today already that I am ready to sink under fatigue, and I cannot but have some fears upon me yet that my son Fenner will pursue some desperate course.
Madam, disquiet not yourself on that account. To my knowledge, his circumstances are such he must of force comply. For my part, I'll contribute all that in me lies to a reunion. In the meantime, madam,
To Mrs. Fennell.
let me before these witnesses restore to you this deed of trust. It may be a means well managed to make you live easily together. From hence, let those be warned who mean to wed, lest mutual falsehood stain the bridal bed. For each deceiver to his cost may find that marriage frauds too oft are paid in kind.
Exeunt omens. Epilogue.
After our epilogue, this crowd dismisses. I'm thinking how this play will be pulled to pieces. But pray, consider, ere you doom its fall, how hard a thing it would be to please you all. There are some critics, so with spleen diseased, they scarcely come inclining to be pleased. And sure he must have more than mortal skill, who pleases anyone against his will. Then all bad poets we are sure are foes, and how their numbers swell in town well knows in shoals. I have marked them judging in the pit, though they are on no pretense for judgment fit, but that they have been damned for want of wit. Since when they by their own offences taught, set up for spies on plays and finding faults. Others there are whose malice we prevent, such who watch plays with scurrilous intent to mark out who by characters are meant. And though no perfect likeness they can trace, yet each pretends to know the copied face. These with false glosses feed their own ill nature and turn to libel what was meant a satire. May such malicious fops this fortune find, to think themselves alone the fool design. If any are so arrogantly vain to think they singly can support a scene, and furnish fool enough to entertain. For well the learned and the judicious know that satire scorns to stoop so meanly low as any one abstracted fop to show. For as when painters from a matchless face, they form each fair one catch some different grace, and shining features in one portrait blend, to which no single beauty must pretend. So poets oft do in one piece expose whole ballet assemblée of coquettes and beaux.
This is the end of Epilogue and the last scene of the drama, The of the Word by William Congreve.
Deepak, would you like to share your experience?
Thank you, guys. Deepak, would you like to share your experience being part of the reading club?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. This is Deepak. I'm reading in this club from past 1 month and want to share some experience about reading. While preparing for the UGC NET, I came across the view of my mentors that in order to understand an author or a work, there is nothing like reading the original text. So I always wanted to read this text, but I couldn't make it a reality. But after joining this club, I can tell you that yes, it can be possible. Before final reading of a text, we do practice and discuss about it, and its every minute details and meaning. Our comprehension about the text has been very rich as a result of our experience. I thank Kalyani ma'am for such innovation of forming this group. I invite you all to join us and celebrate the spirit of literature. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deepak. Is there anybody who would like to speak?
Yes, ma'am. May I?
Yes, please.
Hello, everyone. This is Asst Medhavi here. I'm a part of TES Reading Club. And I would like to tell you all that it's such an amazing experience to read with different members, literature enthusiasts. As we all know that we being students of literature are supposed to read the primary text, but we don't sometimes get time, sometimes we don't, manage to finish up these large books. But thanks to Kalyani ma'am and the wonderful TES team, breaking it up in parts and reading it like in one week on every Sundays, it makes it a lot easier to understand and comprehend. And above all, it's such a wonderful experience to read out characters, to try to mimic like them, to be like them. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this golden opportunity. Thank you, everyone, our YouTube viewers, supporters. Thanks a lot to you. And thanks a lot to the wonderful team that I'm a part of. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. So we today come to the end of this session. I invite on behalf of TES Reading Club, all of you to join us in our reading in YouTube, as well as join our group if you wish and volunteer and have an amazing experience of literature. Thank you once again. Thank you, Reading Club members.